It's said that secrets are never truly hidden, especially when they're on reality TV. Even the cast of Love and Hip Hop seemed rattled by the frenzied murmurs that are currently circulating the streets. Reports that Kendra Robinson may have just released the type of video that causes publicists to resign and couples to fall apart are spreading quickly. Rumors circulating behind the scenes claim that Kendra apparently acquired her hands on a hotel security camera. Additionally, video shows a lady who is allegedly Kirk Frost's assistant running out of his hotel room in the early morning, looking unkempt and terrified, seeming as though she had seen Rasheeda pull up, or worse, a ghost. This is when things start to get serious. Sloppy. This alleged Kendra's footage didn't simply remain in her camera roll. It reportedly reached VH1 producers. Additionally, if reports are to be trusted, Kendra demonstrated it too while Rasheeda was shooting. What came next? On set, Rasheeda left. Just emotion, no cameras, no script, no justification. Fans are forced to wonder what more may be concealed by the Frost brand image. What actually took place in that hotel room then? And why has Kendra decided to let this bomb go off? Remain locked in. We're dissecting all of the statements made. For weeks, the tension on set had been building. Kendra had changed in behavior, becoming quieter and more calculating according to those close to her. She wasn't yelling like she used to, weeping in front of the camera, or clapping back in group shots. On the contrary, she was listening, watching, and, according to sources, gathering information, receipts, and the type of video that alters stories. Nobody anticipated that she would attack when the cameras were filming and everyone was relaxed. They claim that incident began during a filming at an Atlanta studio lounge, where the majority of the actors had assembled for what was meant to be a lighthearted shoot. A brief scene with Jock, Rasheeda, Kirk, and a few other people checking. Everything was going well until Kendra entered, carrying her phone like she wanted to say something. She simply stood there without smiling or taking a seat. Joke gave her the apprehensive chuckle he gives when he senses a downward spiral. Kirk seemed perplexed. However, the instant their eyes locked, Rasheeda became icy. Kendra wasted no time. She gazed straight at real calm. "You sure you want to keep protecting him?" Rasheeda said, as the room became silent. Even the creators froze. Kirk said something about not causing needless drama as he attempted to laugh it off, but Kendra remained unfazed. She remarked, turning to the team. The sound technician paused, but it seems she had already delivered the file to the producers earlier that morning. "Can y'all play something for me real quick?" she said. It was ready and in line. The video started playing on the monitor they used for playback in a matter of seconds. It was a hotel hallway's blurry CCTV film that was time-stamped from around 3 weeks ago, earlier. In the video, Kirk and a woman who appeared to be quite familiar were seen strolling down a corridor late at night. Although the lighting wasn't ideal, her stroll, she was easily identified by her hair and the large sweatshirt bearing the Frost emblem. It was Kirk's assistant, the one Rasheeda had brought in for season 12, the one who never made an appearance and always remained in the background. Spoke a lot, but always appeared a bit too at ease in Kirk's presence. The door closes as Kirk and the helper enter the hotel room in the video. Time flies by. The door swings open once more at around 6 in the morning. It's just the helper. This time. She has her heels in one hand and is barefoot. Her pocketbook and hand are slipping off her shoulder. She appears to be in a panic, as if she's rushing or escaping something. She is pushing her hoodie up to conceal her face while her wig slides. The tape ends as she vanishes down the hallway. There was silence back on set. Kirk's cheeks flushed. Joke stirred uneasily in his seat. It appeared as though Rasheeda was holding her breath. There was a heavy, dense quiet that seemed to be carrying something. Rasheeda rose at last. She didn't weep or shout. "You mentioned that you were in Miami for a meeting," she added, glancing at Kirk. Kirk faltered, attempting to explain that it was taken out of context, but the harm had already been done. Everyone was in a state of shock when Rasheeda left. The set. Kirk yelled at Kendra before following her out the door. He mumbled, "You didn't have to do it like that," in an attempt to seem calm. Jock remained behind, massaging his face as if he had a headache, to which Kendra answered, "No, I didn't, but I wanted to make sure you didn't lie to her face again." He was correct when he predicted that things would become chaotic. The private nature of that footage was short-lived. It was leaked by someone on set, within a day. It first circulated in group conversations before making its way to a gossip site in the morning. Fans were analyzing every frame in a matter of hours. Did the assistant actually run? Was Kirk naked when the door opened for a split second? What? Was the hoodie with the Frost logo doing on her at the VIP merchandise drop hosted by the Frost family? The internet took off. At first, Rasheeda didn't react to the video. Then eventually, that day, I unfollowed Kirk on Instagram. Fans noticed right away. She deleted a number of recent postings that included him in less than 2 days. Deals with brands associated with the Frost couple began to wane. One sponsor of hair care completely halted their advertising. The empire of Frost was trembling. Kirk made an effort to polish the story. In an ambiguous Instagram story, he discussed forgiveness, treachery, and not believing everything you see. It was ineffective. The remarks were harsh. Kendra was being tagged by others who wanted to see the entire video. Others pleaded with Rasheeda to stand up, to go, to stop shielding someone who obviously didn't value her. However, the assistant's silence was what truly stopped spectators cold. She didn't refute it, defend herself, or publish anything. She stopped showing up for work, according to sources, and her profile turned private. Some stated she broke down. She was being paid to keep silent, according to others. Kendra, too, kept to herself, too silent. People began to question how Kendra obtained the video in the first place. At that point, the second bombshell was revealed. A close companion of, according to a gossip website, Kendra didn't find it by accident. Someone tipped her off. It seems that a hotel worker who enjoyed hip-hop and love upon checking in, they recognized Kirk and the assistant. She had a sneaking suspicion that something wasn't right. She was insulted by Kendra's recent posts. She made an anonymous call to the Frost family. "I don't want money," she said. All she wanted was for the truth to be revealed. Kendra first remained silent, but she thought it was time when she watched Kirk and Rasheeda appear to be okay again on video. She obtained the video, confirmed the date and time, examined the location tags of the assistants from that weekend. She waited while everything fell into place. She picked that tape and waited for the ideal opportunity to drop it. Several cast members began to distance themselves from Kirk when the video was made public. Even Jock, who had consistently stood up for his friend, became uneasy in his subsequent interaction with him. Off camera, he informed producers that Kirk should take care of his home before attempting to be in charge of anything. Regarding Rasheeda, she reluctant to spend 2 whole weeks filming with Kirk. The consequences were severe. Polls on fan pages asked if Rasheeda should break up with him. Kirk was criticized by blogs for being untidy and rude, and Kendra was getting kudos for speaking up at last. Once, admirers criticized her for being too meek. We're now referring to her as the cast's most genuine member. She also didn't gloat, publish, or say anything. She simply let the video do the talking. Behind the scenes, however, everyone understood that this was not the end. Not even close. The morning following the release of the video, the whole cast. The group conversation was a mess. Cast members were constantly messaging one another, some wanting to know who gave it to the blogs and others inquiring whether it was true. The producers were frantically trying to stop the story, but it was too late. Now the tale was on its own. Even though Kendra hadn't spoken in public, her quiet was more powerful. More than what Kirk and Rasheeda had attempted to defend themselves with. As this was going on, fans were deluging each cast member's page, with comments requesting confirmations, responses, and further information. On the night the video was shown, Rasheeda hadn't gone home. According to insiders, she immediately went to her mother's house and switched off her phone for the next 24 hours. However, Kirk was allegedly blowing up her phone, sending texts, leaving voicemails, and even attempting to get in touch with her through acquaintances they had in common. The humiliation was too much. Not only was he caught cheating, he was ensnared in a manner that prevented him from spinning. The helper fleeing from the time-stamped video, the room, and the sweatshirt all shouted guilt. Rasheeda wasn't attempting to correct anything either, for once. Kendra stayed composed as Kirk went into a frenzy. She arrived at her scheduled filming with her hair styled, her face completely covered in makeup, and her voice flawless. In response to the producer's request for further information, it was enough to rock everyone in the room when he stated, "I think people are starting to see what I've seen all along." Jot observed her very closely. He had lost the silly enthusiasm he usually had. Rather, he appeared to be a guy who understood that his whole basis may also collapse. The company arranged for Kendra and Joss to have a private scene at a tiny midtown restaurant. Later that week, silently, the cameras moved in an attempt to capture a moment of feeling. Sitting quietly across from him, Kendra stirred her drink. Joseph seemed anxious. He began gently inquiring for her well-being. She gave a nod. She then asked him, "How long have you known?" Without raising his head, and he froze. Didn't respond. Immediately. At last, he stated, "I had a hunch something wasn't right, but I wasn't positive." Kendra looked at him for a while. She said, "You've known Kirk for more than 10 years. You're telling me he never boasted, never slipped, and never joked didn't lie. Did you let anything leak about her?" He acknowledged that Kirk had previously made reference to the assistant, but not specifically. He said that it was always insignificant things, such as too specific praises, illogical travel, and appointments that didn't fit the schedule. He went on to say, "I didn't think it was serious." Kendra leaned back and remarked, "I thought maybe he was just being Kirk." Being Kirk is the issue. Following the airing of the scene, fans accused Jock of not letting his wife know sooner. However, the assistant's first public appearance was what truly ignited social media. She didn't go on social media or publish a message live. She recently shared an old selfie that she took inside the same hotel where the video was shot on Instagram. "You only apologize," she wrote as the caption, "because you were caught." The tale was widely shared in a matter of minutes. She was wearing the same sweatshirt that was shown in the security footage. Fans pointed out when they zoomed in. Clip. It was brazen, it was petty, it was indisputable. The helper had come out of hiding. It appeared as though she was prepared. For a time. The bloggers devoured it. One website even compared her leave video with the selfie side by side, referring to it as the walk of shame. The Frost brand was damaged by that. Despite Kirk's lack of response, his staff swiftly removed any promotional posts that included him and the assistant. Rasheeda didn't log on. Upon her eventual return, she posted in black and white with the words, "Healing in private, please. Respect my space." The comments were a battleground. Some encouraged her and told her to go. She was accused by others of fabricating a different plot point. Some even accused her of always forgiving him. However, none of them were aware that Rasheeda wasn't primarily concerned with forgiveness in the background. Her brand protection was her first priority. According to family-friendly sources, Rasheeda was speaking with her business associates regarding distancing her image with Kirk's in any upcoming promotions. She and her legal team had already begun going over the papers. It was an obvious message. She wasn't going to allow his mess impact her finances, whether she remained in the marriage or not. Kendra, however, was going in a different way. She had no desire to be a part. She wanted to get noticed, complete visibility. Another shocking revelation came when Kendra had more than only the hotel footage, according to a producer leak. She allegedly possessed audio recordings of Kirk and the assistant's discussions, as well as screenshots and messages. Some were more over a year old. According to the producer, Kendra was thinking about giving the remainder to VH1 if she thought Kirk and Rasheeda were attempting to manipulate the story against her. Apparently, there were more people involved besides the assistant. There were rumors that Kendra had dirt on many casts, member filling in for Kirk. According to reports, at least 2 persons were aware of the hotel meeting but remained silent. According to reports, one of them was a junior producer with assisted in setting up Kirk's transportation for the weekend. The other was a cosmetics artist who collaborated with the assistant and Rasheeda. The more closely individuals examined, the fans couldn't get enough of it as it became messier. Interviews began to appear. Former VH1 employees were asked to share behind-the-scenes information on podcasts. Everybody wished to learn how this video was released, how long it had been hidden, and the actual number of participants. Some conjectured that Kendra had spent months organizing the release. Others said it was a choice made at the last minute, following a furious dispute with Jock. She had altered the game, though, for whatever reason. Kendra didn't have to shout. There was no reason for her to struggle. She only needed to press play to send the entire franchise into a tailspin. The video revealed the flaws in every connection surrounding Kirk in addition to his disaster. Jock's hesitancy, Rasheeda's quiet, and the arrogant response they all expressed more than words could from the helper. And supporters were beginning to take sides. Those that supported Kendra referred to her as the realist on the program. Others spoke up for Rasheeda, arguing that she wasn't deserving of humiliation. Additionally, a tiny but vocal faction maintained that the entire situation was merely an additional VH1 configuration. But one thing was certain, whether it was fake or genuine, the harm was already done. Credibility were changing, partnerships were dissolving, and the Frost name, once associated with love and hip-hop devotion, was suddenly at the heart of an unanticipated controversy. Or perhaps they did. Perhaps everyone simply ignored them, until Kendra made sure they couldn't. The drama continued as the days went by. It got deeper. Fans were analyzing every detail, contrasting recent sequences in which Rasheeda's quiet spoke more than any staged confrontation with older video in which she backed Kirk. Kendra's pardon everywhere, people were debating the turmoil. Was she resentful? Was she a genius? Or had she simply stopped being silent? The ensemble hadn't said anything in public, but the atmosphere on set had changed drastically. People's speech was different. Their jokes weren't the same. Longer eyes lingered. There was no longer any trust. The production called a required cast gathering at a leased house outside of Atlanta in an attempt to reorganize. Everyone knew it was a cleanup session, even though they said it was for a healing circle. The idea was to gather everyone for a meeting in an attempt to resolve the cameras. However, you could feel the atmosphere tense as soon as Kendra entered. Her purpose was not to recover. She was present to complete the task she began. Rasheeda also appeared, wearing no makeup, huge sunglasses, and a black outfit. Her physique words spoke for themselves. Even though she didn't want to be there, she wasn't going to let Kendra take whole control of the story. Kirk was sitting already, observing. He was tired and a lot older than he had been a week before. Jug tapped uncomfortably on the chair's armrest while seated close to the back. Kendra entered, and she failed to glance at Kirk. She and Rasheeda looked at each other, and they talked for the first time since the video was leaked. "You should have told me," Rasheeda remarked. She didn't break her voice. She was frigid, but not sentimental. Kendra's head cocked. The crowd became quiet as Rasheeda took away the microphone. "Told you what? That your spouse lied again, or that your assistant wasn't simply your assistant? I would have handled it differently in private, but now I see her sunglasses." Her eyes were red and weary, but concentrated. "Your spouse pulled you, and I simply showed you. You've created a problem, and you pulled me into it." Kendra didn't bat an eye. The path he took. At that point, everything fell into place. Kirk got up and attempted to interrupt, saying that everyone needed to stop focusing on drama and consider the wider picture. But nobody was. Kendra blinked momentarily as Rasheeda moved forward and addressed the one question that had not yet been answered directly on camera. "Why now?" Then she calmly said, "Because you all murmured about me, and because I was sick of defending people who wouldn't protect me, criticized me, told Jock I was frigid and said I wasn't a good wife, but your husband was having an affair with the woman who was refilling your lash glue at the same time." The assistant's name hadn't been said aloud until that point, and Kendra dropped it like a stone, causing gasps to reverberate around the room. Even production didn't anticipate that one. Despite the producer's attempts to stop her, she slid the folder, which contained texts, call records, and pictures, across the table after reaching inside her bag. "Just so no one accuses me of lying, if anyone wants to know how deep this went, it's all there." Kirk appeared to be poised to blow up. "This isn't how we do things," he said. Kendra grinned. "Then perhaps you ought to have avoided hotel rooms you shouldn't have been in." Rasheeda got up and left again, but she didn't return, and Juck followed her out a short while later. He attempted to calm her down by catching up to her near the vehicle, saying, "She's doing all this to hurt me." But she was clearly conflicted. "Not about you, but about us." Slowly, Rasheeda spun around and said, "No, Jock. Once you saw this was no longer about you, that video, and didn't say anything to me." He was unable to speak. Producers sought to rekindle the enthusiasm by removing Kendra from the room and asking her. She consented and sat down when Mick asked if she would be open to doing a private confessional to further explain her position. She said, "I knew about the assistant for months. I saw the signs, the way Kirk acted when she was around, the way Rasheeda looked the other way." Her eyes were clear, her voice was serene. "However, I remained silent because I didn't want to be the antagonist once more. I wanted to be the one who held it, not the irate black woman or the resentful wife. They were never going to keep it together for me. I knew after seeing that footage, which ended up becoming the season's most watched confessional." Filming was halted for 3 days following the estate scene, not due to schedule, but rather because VH1 Legal intervened, with the assistant reportedly threatening legal action if further material was broadcast. However, Kendra had concealed the fact that she had obtained the footage from a third party and had never mentioned the assistant's name. She just made comments on the already circulating video without accusing anyone. Rasheeda, however, Meanwhile, some of her endorsement deals were demanding clarification, and her staff had to intervene and do damage management. Her brand was her livelihood, and for once, she didn't want to be linked to scandal, particularly one that featured infidelity, help, and surveillance cameras. Understand how to change course. Kirk attempted to mitigate the harm as well, offering to have a conversation with Kendra and Rasheeda. "Cameras, just talk." Rasheeda didn't answer. Kendra said no. The fracture was more worse than he had anticipated. He believed that he could use his years of experience, play the card of the black guy making errors, and charm his way out like he had in the past. But this time, neither the quiet nor the video lied of those around him. Jock, on the other hand, was in a difficult situation since he loved Kendra. Kirk was like a brother to Rasheeda, and he respected her. But when the dust cleared, he came to the conclusion that remaining neutral amounted to complicity. He said in a private conversation with production that he wished he had done more, that he had said anything, but he was afraid. Fearful of losing his buddy, afraid of losing his reputation, afraid of losing his wife. And now he may lose everything. The assistant disappeared from the program, social media, and everything else. Some claim she moved back, but she never again spoke on camera. Some insiders thought Rasheeda offered her hush money to help the story go away more quickly, while others suggested Kirk paid her to keep quiet. Nobody could verify, and to be honest, nobody gave a damn anymore. The harm was done, and the woman they misjudged the most, Kendra, was the one in charge now, not Kirk or Rasheeda. She was quiet, accurate, and merciless with the truth, and for once, totally in control. The next week, when filming started up again, the atmosphere